Okay, call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. Where's flag?
Oh, it's behind us. Gotta stand up.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Changes in the agenda, Peter?
No changes?
Communications?
No communications at this time?
Okay, we're going to have an executive session. 45 minutes,
Probably, I would expect 55 minutes
55 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay,
with no action to be taken
no
afterwards.
action to be taken. Okay, where are we going?
We have a conference room.
Okay.
Start.
Okay, you ready? All right, ready to call to order, do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Finch, any changes to the agenda?
No change to the agenda, but I believe the board was going, one of the board members would make a motion to excuse Michael Thorner from this meeting.
I move that we excuse Mr. Thorner from today's meeting.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Communications,
No communications. The response to public comment is a placeholder, and there was no public comment at the last meeting.
school presentation, Cottonwood.
All right, we have Michelle Seguinza, principal, and she has some of the Cottonwood team here to present and give you an update and annual report regarding Cottonwood Elementary.
Hi there, welcome and thank you for coming to Cottonwood. And I'm Michelle Seguinza, I'm the principal here. And we have a lot of wonderful programs that are in place here to help kids academically and socially. And we have some five fabulous teachers that are going to highlight some of our programs. And to start the presentation, we have Joelle, one of our outstanding fourth grade teachers, and she is going to start.
Good evening. Thanks for being here. Good to see you guys. We have been doing PBIS here at Cottonwood for about 15 years, give or take. I was part of the team that got it started back when Sherry Adams was here. PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Support. It's a broad range of systematic and individualized strategies for achieving important social and learning outcomes, all while preventing problem behavior in our students. I can say with 1,000% conviction that because of PBIS, our school is positive, it's predictable, and it's effective. It's a safe place for all students to learn and be valued. So when we started this process, the main center of PBIS is having a set of school-wide expectations. We have 4. Those are positive attitude, accept responsibility, work hard, and show respect. The acronym makes PAWS. So all Cottonwood Coyotes follow PAWS. These expectations are explicitly taught to all students the first 2 weeks of school. And they are taught in the area in which the lesson is found. So like we go to the hallway to teach hallway PAWS. We go into the bathroom to teach bathroom PAWS, and so on. We use the exact same lesson plan, so every teacher is using the exact same language in all things. Every student and staff member knows the expectations, and they are the same for everyone, every day, all the time. And staff are expected to correct problem behavior in all the same way. We use a correction model, and then that way students know that anytime an adult corrects them, they need to follow that. Our behavior is rewarded and or corrected with we use school-wide monetary system, PawBucks, and we also use a clip chart. You'll find those 2 elements in every single classroom in our entire school. Because of our highly effective PBIS elements, we wanted to share with you that we have excellent comments from our substitutes who come in, our student teachers who work with us, our practicum students. They compliment us all the time on how well our school is run, how the kids behave, and what a fun place this is. Our school runs effectively and efficiently most of the time for our green zone kids. The green zone kids are the typical behaving students that respond well to these things. And of course, we have tier 2 and tier 3 students. But because our green zone kids are doing so well, our principal and our counselors, they are free to work with those students. And so as classroom teachers, we feel super supported, and they are always willing to help us out, and we really appreciate that. And so maybe sometime you guys can come watch PBIS in action. We'd love to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Kate Womack. I'm the PE teacher here at Cottonwood. This is my second year in PE. I used to be in the classroom. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our PLCs that we meet during late start. So like tomorrow morning, every late start, our elementary PE team meets at Apple Valley. We discuss different units that we're working on, different activities and games, things that go well, things that don't go well, because some of us are a little bit newer to it still. And we also have been looking at different standards and data and looking at like third grade. We've worked on kicking and throwing and just kind of comparing data with which kids are getting what and what skills that they're kind of missing. So go data. Woohoo, Stacy, that's for you. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit, just a little touch on 5 components of fitness. These start in really second grade for the most part, all the way up through high school. They are muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiorespiratory endurance, flexibility, and body composition. The one as a PE team we really do is cardiorespiratory endurance for the most part. We do the pacer test, which actually just got done this week with the kids doing, and it's basically their heart and lungs working together so they can run for a long period of time. We do the pacer and the mile usually in the spring. So flexibility, I'm also starting some yoga. Also working on mindfulness with kids. I'll be doing that a little bit later this week too, and some nutrition. So next, I have a poster here. I did the muscular unit or muscular system, with our instructional coach, working on some different GLAD strategies. On the bottom there, you can see that was my plan, and this is actually what I got to. As all good teaching goes, half the time you don't get to what you have planned. So yeah, that's kind of all I have for you this evening. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank
ready?
you.
Yep, and then she's all
Give me a microphone, I'll talk. My name is Rachel Wood, and I teach first grade here at Cottonwood, and I'm just going to share a little bit about the badge book, which is a curriculum-based standards approach to instruction. And I've got some keywords here. You can see ownership, personalization, differentiation, and standards-based. Those are all things that you achieve with the badge book. I think we're in our 4th year. It might be 5th. We started it when Stacy Drake came to Cottonwood. And when she first brought it to us, I was like, oh, great. Some centers, it'll be fun. And as we really started implementing it in the classroom, we quickly started to see how fast you could get kids from point A to point B with what they needed. So when a kid comes in and we do our assessments with them and we see where they're at, we can use the badge book to really pinpoint what strengths they have and where they work. So a lot of the whole group instruction that we give is done in traditional methods. I'm using Wonders or whatever other curriculums the district offers. But then when I break off into instruction in small groups or working with kids one-on-one, I really can focus in on what the badges are. So the standards from Common Core are broken down into these badges. Math is on the top on the left, language arts on the bottom on the right. On the right-hand side is my actual chart right now for my class. And so each student has 3 badges that they have chosen with a little bit of teacher direction, what they're working on. So as we are working in centers, as we're working in choice board times, they are picking things that match that. So for example, this kiddo has a consonant blend that he's working on. So he would grab the consonant blend center. They do it all independently, and they're able to focus on that. And when they're done and they're ready, say, okay, Mrs. Wood, I've been practicing. I want to test to see if I can earn that badge. They then stick their little card by their number, and that lets me know that they're ready to test. And it's mastery based. So either you 100% or you don't have 100%. We have seen with talking to, for the second grade teachers down, just the difference that has been made with our students and how prepared they are. And even I was talking with Mrs. Mokel just last week, like skipping whole sections of their curriculum because the kids already know it. And that's really, we can attest to the badge book, not only getting kids working at a higher level, moving on, to second grade. I even have some kids in my room right now that are doing third grade math, but also really helping those kids that are needing reinforcement, and we're able to give that to them. So that's the badge book. And you're welcome to come see it anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
All right. Hi, I'm Heidi Mokel. I'm a second grade teacher here at Cottonwood, and I'm going to talk about a couple things. So I'm briefly going to take on to what Rachel was talking about with the badge book. So this is actually the first year for the second grade badge book. So we're trying to feel our way through it and make it as strong as KN1 for our students. But this is the first year that the whole district is piloting. So one of the things I've noticed though is fewer of my kids this year came in below grade level. And I attribute that to obviously to the badge book where they're getting personalization and differentiation and they're working on exactly what they need to be working on. I also attribute that to our PBIS because we have so few low-level behaviors because we've worked through those and gotten those kids to the green zone. We really can be focused on the academics, which is what our job is in West Valley, is to work on the academics. Also, I think it's probably attributed to the district's commitment to low class size in those lower grades. With the badge book, we also have had administrators who have really been willing to fund what we needed to, like, if you walk into any KN1 classroom, there are bags and boxes and tubs and just stuff for every badge, 2 and 3 things, and sometimes probably 10 things for every badge. And so that takes a lot of laminating and printing and all of those supplies. And so that has really been nice. I was commenting to our first grade team this fall along about the 3rd week of September. I'm like, you guys, I have to skip to my October stuff because all of those things that I usually do, you guys have gotten those kids so far that when I'm usually starting to gear up for some computation things, like they already know it. They came in pretty solid. And so hopefully we see with the addition of the second grade badge book and then I don't know, it'll be up to Stacy and Peter where we go from there after second grade, but hopefully we'll really see those our data really nice because of the personalization. So what I really wanted to, what my job is to talk about tonight is second grade rotations. So this year there's 3 of us in second grade and we decided to work smarter and not harder. So all the elementary teachers have noticed that the last thing that usually is on our curriculum mind is social studies and science, just because math and reading are just so big and really is our focus. So second grade decided to do some rotations. So I am teaching all the science. So we've got 3 science kits. The first one is how we can stop soil from washing away. And I brought a sample of that and we'll show you a quick lesson on what that looks. We've finished that rotation in the fall. So I taught that to all 3 classes. The next one is what can maps tell us about land and water on Earth, which is just like it sounds, maps. And then in the spring, we'll do balancing and weighing. So I am teaching, I always start with my class. So I start for 3.5 weeks with my class. I teach them the science unit. Then I start over with Mrs. Van Dyke's class. And then I start over with Mrs. Cohn's class. So while my class is rotating around, I am seeing the other teachers. Mrs. Cohn is focusing on social studies. So they have done branches of government for the first rotation. Second rotation, they're doing presidents and they're going to be doing reports, so report writing. And then in the spring, they'll do symbols of America. Mrs. Van Dyke kind of got to choose a mishmash of things. So she started with our Mind Up curriculum, which is our brain focused strategies for learning. Then she's doing robotics, and if you know Mrs. Van Dyke, in the spring she chose something theatrical, and so we'll be looking forward to what she decides to do on that. So, like I said, they're 3.5 week rotations. Because we're on such a time schedule, we really have to be cognizant about nothing gets to interrupt our last hour Monday through Thursday. I can't skip a lesson. I can't decide, oh, today I don't feel like doing science, I'm going to do something else, because it throws off the whole schedule. So we've really had to be intentional about our schedule and look through the whole year and plan the 13 or 14 days that we are doing that. So one of Mrs. Cohn's strengths, talking about drawing on strengths, one of Mrs. Cohn's strengths is her ability to get kids to do these amazing writing projects. And so when they were doing branches of government, they had a whole book that they made, and then they wrote a writing project. And as much as I work hard on writing, but I'm not sure my second grade, I'm not sure I could have gotten them there. That's not my strength. And I brought a sample of that for you to see. And so we've really been intentional about drawing on our strengths and taking things off our plate. They don't have to worry about science. I don't have to worry about social studies. I don't have to be drama. And I don't have to learn the robotics, which is not my thing. And so we've really worked hard to draw on our strengths. So what we noticed that we didn't expect as a byproduct was there's better behavior with all the second graders in the halls at lunch, because they have a relationship with us. And so if I tell someone from Mrs. Cohn's class to stop walking or stop running to walk in the hall or have to redirect, they already know me and they have a relationship with me. Also, they've got 3 second grade teachers that they have relationships with. And so there's more adults at school that they know love them. Also, like I mentioned, it makes us more intentional in our planning. None of us can skip a day because we're on a very strict schedule. So how we're making it work is our B.dot time and our Wednesday mornings are invaluable. We've got to meet about kids. It's been great. Mrs. Cohn might be struggling with one of her kids with a behavior or an academic skill. And then I can work on that in class and vice versa. And so because we know the kids, it's easier for us to give advice and think of solutions and have you tried this, because we know the kid and we think that might work with that kid. Also, another way we're making it work is we are very fortunate at Cottonwood to have Jen Ditter as our instructional coach. Jen is GLAD trained. And so that is very helpful, as you can see in Kate's poster. Jen is also a national board facilitator. So she is very skilled at leading people to self-reflect. And so I'm going to work with her on a MAPS unit, because that's the science kit that we're doing right now. And so we're going to do some GLAD strategies, and we're going to do some co-teaching and things to work on that unit. So taking advantage of that. Also, how we're making it work is, so we have someone on staff that is an expert at Donors Choose, Leah Miser. And so Donors Choose is a website that teachers go on, and we write a project, and then it goes up on their website, and then people in our community, parents in our classes, businesses from around the country will fund those projects. So in December, second grade wrote 3 projects, one for Lunar New Year, which doesn't have to do with our rotations, but we wrote one for Lunar New Year. We wrote one for science materials and social studies materials, and then another one for mainly social studies books that Kim Cohn's going to use in her rotation. So that has been that allows us to get some materials that we wouldn't normally have. So donors choose at, and I just want to highlight how effective Donors Choose is. So I was curious what was going on in West Valley with Donors Choose, and so I can actually go on and search and find out how much and who's doing Donors Choose. So all 6 buildings, elementary buildings, have in the past few years written Donors Choose. Cottonwood has received $8,000 in Donors Choose grants. And as a district, our elementary schools have received $35,000 in Donors Choose. So in fact, tomorrow, what's today, Tuesday? So tomorrow morning, Leah and I are presenting at our late start, and we are going to lead the staff that hasn't learned how to do the Donors Choose yet. We're going to lead those guys through how to put a project online and what it looks like. So so now I want to show you some materials. So the science kits that we use are, well, they're kits. So they come with all sorts of hands-on materials. There's very few worksheets that the kids use. It's all hands-on. This first one, like I said, was how can we stop soils from washing away? And when I say hands-on on that one, it is super hands-on. Like I was tired after the 3rd rotation with that because it is messy. There's soil, there's sand, there's water. There's all sorts of stuff. So the culmination of that, it's an engineering kit. So the culmination of that kit is the kids have to design a barrier that will prevent the soil, which is the sand, from washing away. So these aren't 2nd graders, but these are my kids. So they're going to help me show you the one of the culminating activities. It'll take about 3 minutes, but they're going to show you the culminating activity. And then I'm going to show you the type of questions that we ask the kids to get them to think a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. Okay, so I'm going to steal Mr. Mokel's microphone. We're going to put this in front of you, Peter.
Yep. Great.
You can just turn it on. Okay, so this activity is, like I said, one of the culminating activities, and the students have to use representations of grass, which are toothpicks, sandbags, which are cotton balls, trees, which are represented by the sponges, and then retaining walls, which are represented by tongue depressors. So the whole time on this, these 12 lessons, we've been talking about what happens with erosion and how can water and wind affect the soil. So this culminating activity, the kids have to choose, they actually have a budget. So they have a budget of $50 or $100. And so they have to decide which of the items, some of them are worth $25, some are worth $50. They have to decide which items they're going to use to stop the soil from washing away. So Kensington and Finn, if you could choose your items that you chose. Okay. Make a model with the sand hill. Put them where you think they're going to go. Yeah, they have to, the trees trunks have to go up, sis. Don't dig it in. It's cheating. Okay, so the audience can't see, but the kids have put the retaining wall in the middle with the, no, don't mess with that, Mr. Mokel. The kids have put the retaining wall in the middle with the trees on the outside. Okay, so they've had experience. Not these two. My 2nd graders have experience with using all of these materials. And so they've practiced a lot. So they know and have experience with which items and how they react. Okay, so Finn, will you come and pour pour 10 seconds of water right there at the. Okay. So, all right, you guys come over here so I can ask you your questions. Okay, so Finn, look and see, did any soil get washed away?
Not that I can see of.
Yeah, this was actually a really good model, and it worked. So Kensington, what would you change, if anything, next time to stop that little bit of soil from getting washed away?
I'd probably put the sandbags where the retaining wall was, because the retaining wall I saw was getting leaked through, and so I feel like the sandbags would soak up more than stop the water, and they would soak up the water.
So those are the typical questions. So in the classroom, the students would get the supplies. The students would get another chance to redo their experiment to make it better. Okay. All right. We'll get these things out of the way. Okay. Kids, pick up the blue buckets, please. All right. So the last thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes, I'll pass down. I've got our science notebook. Nope, I'll get it. It says skip the red. I've got the science notebook from one of my students for this exact kit. I've got the report from the 3 branches of government. And if you read through the students, this was their culminating activity with Mrs. Cohn. And when they came back, and obviously I wasn't in there, but when they came back, even my second language learners or lower achievers could tell me exactly what the 3 branches were and what their function was. So it was pretty amazing. So I've got 2 samples of that. Mm-hmm. You're not interested in that. And then I've got our Mind Up curriculum that if you want to breeze through. So do you need to close up or anything? You're good. Okay. So I'm going to pass these down. You guys can pass these. I'll start them with Mark here. You can pass them down and take a look. And then I'll collect them down at the end with Mr. Meyer.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Mr. Jagger.
Joel, PBIS. I was on the board when that started, and we had a presentation from Cottonwood. And from that, I'd been the middle school principal, and you had kids from 6 different elementaries come into the middle school, and they all had different behavior expectations. And it was, you could tell a Mountain View kid from an Antietam kid, and it was frustrating. PBIS was the idea to have everybody more consistent. In order to do that, I would think the 6 elementaries would need to get together at times and talk about what they do. Do you do that?
We had some momentum for quite a long time when we first got going, and Cottonwood met with multiple buildings and we shared. I mean, everybody has all of our lesson plans, everyone has all of the material, but from how they continue it in their building is sort of out of, a beautiful thing would be having a PBIS coordinator district-wide. That's how a lot of schools do it. And that their sole job is just to make sure and support schools and keeping it running and keeping it effective. You have to have a champion at your building and people who believe in it to keep it going. Otherwise, it just sort of falls off, not intentionally, but just because we have a lot on our plates. So, but I mean,
Our elementary principals do have a monthly meeting, and it often runs like a professional learning community where they can share across the district what's happening in each of the schools.
Thank you. Kate? I can't read my writing.
Oh, she's in the back, Dave.
Way
I can't see with my glasses. No. when you're working with your PE, do you work with middle school, junior high, and high school? Do you ever get together with your middle school, junior high, and high school when you're talking about your curriculum? You mentioned we do this second grade through 12. Do you ever meet as a group and talk about that?
Just with the elementary. So we have met with middle school and high school. That'd be a good idea down the road, so.
It might be, Peter, just to make sure they kind of coordinate what they teach.
Sure.
And lastly, Rachel, this has been my question with Badge Book forever, and I guess you've answered it, but kid goes into second grade, smart kid, halfway through the school year, they're done with the Badge Book. What do you do for the rest of that year? And then what do you do for years after, like, let's say first grader, because we don't have a Badge Book.
Because I forgot to share this. So this is an example of a kiddo that's working at second grade level. So what I've done is here's the student's badge book. And the student has first grade badges here in the beginning. But this student has earned all but 2 reading badges. They've earned all but 3 math badges. So what does she do? A coloring sheet? No, she works on second grade stuff. So the second grade badge book is in the back of her book. So I still have whole group instruction. Like I still have, I mean, she's 1 kid and I have 2 others that are close. So let's say I have 3. Everybody else still needs the, standards that the state has set forth for first grade, but they've already mastered that. So even though there is time where they are in that whole group instruction, as soon as we move off into centers and into, we actually have time each day that is our badge book time, they have centers built around the second grade standards. And then I have started, because like I mentioned, we had kids come in higher. Now I already need some third grade stuff. And so they're working on those things. And I have the second grade badge book tests, but how I've kind of used it as, and told parents is, your student might earn the second grade badge in first grade. That doesn't mean when they move on, if the student moves on to Mrs. Mokel, she's gonna have all this data. There might be things that she's like, well, I'm not even gonna retest. There might be things that she says, oh, I just wanna see that for myself. Mm-hmm. But that's where it prevents that very thing from kids who are high achieving and are midway through the year. They're still being challenged just with, exactly what they need. And that's, the personalization and the differentiation is every kid getting what they need when they need it.
So how many grades have badge books?
Right now we have pre-K for kindergarten, first grade, and second grade is piloting.
Okay.
And the school, I believe, and Mrs. Drake can correct me if I'm wrong, but the school district that we modeled it after is K-12. No?
No, they have to have third grade.
Oh, why didn't I
Just right ahead of us.
Well, there's an example of don't talk about what you don't. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't necessarily have a question. My day job is a health fitness instructor in a neighboring district. And I've been in a couple buildings of the elementary schools in West Valley over the fall. And the same standards that I'm working on daily with my kids at the high school level, and the terminology and the concepts that we are teaching in our district that I teach in are getting taught at the elementary level here. So I don't have a question, but I just want to give a shout out to the PE department, not only here at Cottonwood, but throughout the district, because that makes our life so much easier at the high school level when kids are getting this information at this age. So thank you much.
Yeah, just really appreciate our teachers presenting and having some students and our principals' leadership here, because it just shows, I think, modeling this idea of continuous improvement, always looking to get better. And I think you guys modeled that here tonight. So thank you.
I just have a question for, I think, Joelle. So talking about PBIS, ever since I've been on the board, that has always been a discussion item and something that the school district has promoted. So just, I've heard one idea you suggested, which was if we had a central person that spoke for the whole program. Outside of that, someone who knows this probably better than most of us up here, do you have a suggestion on how to further advance PBIS in the school district? What would you do if you were queen of the world and had one suggestion to help, promote this program?
Outside of having that expert person district-wide, because that would be pie in the sky, because then that person would be in charge of setting up PBIS in all the buildings, because they have aspects of it, I believe, in some form in all buildings in West Valley School District, but it takes someone whose sole job it is to keep it running, so that when we funnel into the mid-level campus, when we funnel up to the high school, we're all on that same, we all have the same language, we all have the same value, we all have the same expectation, to help problem behavior be eliminated. And it won't eliminate all, but it'll provide a way to then focus on our tier 2 and our tier 3 kids who really just need support. But we run out of, ability to do that. But if we had someone who could be there, that's their wheelhouse, and they could be problem solving that and finding solutions, and that would be awesome.
Okay. And just one more comment. I don't know if it's more of a question or a comment, but it seems to me, just in listening to it, the concept of beyond the boundaries of one school, the most important aspect of that would be consistency as we move through the district.
Yes.
Do you feel that is taking place with this program as it is now?
I think so, as much as it can be. Consistency and being positive. Really the crux of PBIS is teaching children that they are valued and that they, despite what they do, we can correct their behavior, because there's a reason why kids misbehave. There's a function to their misbehavior. And PBIS allows teachers to understand what that behavior is. So the consistency and it being positive, I think, is what works well for us district-wide.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So Cottonwood,
I have one last comment. I came, before I was at West Valley, I spent 10 years at Highland, and Michelle's family is a Italian family, and her mother makes the best cream pies.
awesome.
All right.
I'll make sure she gets another one.
I do that whenever possible. So.
All right.
Cottonwood people, if you want to head out, you can before we go to the next part of the meeting. If you need to get home and get some sleep tonight. They're a dedicated group. All right. Okay. Public comment on non-discussion items. We have a list of people who have signed up. We had, we have quite a few here. 3-minute limit on talking. And I'm not sure how we're going to schedule or signal from back there to give you an idea when your 3 minutes is close to ending. And the first person is that
Dwayne,
Dwayne?
is it Dwayne Hyde or
Dwayne Heil?
Don? Sorry, Don.
Don.
I'm gonna just give you these. These are the, I'm Dawn Hyde. I've had children in the district for 19 years now. My son is a senior. And why I'm here is to discuss what has transpired with the senior pictures. I'm going to go as fast as I can to get my 3 minutes worth of information in. In 2019, the district attempted to do what they did without telling most of us last week. When that transpired in 2019, it became more of a situation of parents wanting their professional photos in the yearbook, and no one talked about the big concerns then. Well, but people did talk about it. I came to the principal, McMurray, at that time and discussed with him how what they have done is they have, I'm just going to make this faster. What they did last week is that without telling the parents what they were doing, without really explaining to the kids, they lined them up last week. They told them to choose whether they were a boy or a girl and what outfit whatever outfit they chose to wear, they had to put on for pictures, and that if they didn't choose to do that, they would not be in their senior, they would not have their senior photo in their yearbook. With that, I'd already talked to Mr. McMurray in 2019 about this. He said he was, at that time, they said that they were not, no one else had brought those concerns to them, and the concerns being this. There are people, believe it or not, there are people who cannot show their skin for religious or cultural reasons. They were forced last week to make a decision to wear that outfit or this outfit or not be in their yearbook. This is the same thing I brought in 2019. It wasn't new to the administration. It wasn't a new concern. There are, not everybody wants to decide if they are a boy or they are a girl. And the district deciding that this is the appropriate attire for a boy, this is the appropriate attire for a girl, and what the kids thought they were coming to get their pictures taken. They put their outfits on that they were comfortable in to get their pictures taken for their yearbook. This does not have to do with parents wanting a professional picture in the yearbook. And this does not have to do with it has to do with the big picture of it discriminated and it was not inclusive of almost every child in the district. They came in what they thought was appropriate, and they were told this outfit is what the district feels is appropriate for you for senior pictures. This is the image we want for our senior class. But that image was not by the senior class, was not what my understanding was, and you'll have many students speak, was not asked of the students if that's what they wanted. It was decided by.
Thank you.
Next,
Uh,
Nicole Fletcher.
Nicole Fletcher.
Hi, I'm here speaking today on behalf of some of my students. I am a teacher. I teach seniors. And the reason I wanted to speak was because I was mortified, absolutely mortified, when I found out that those girls were traipsed across a stage in front of 100 of their peers, half-dressed. The drapes that they wore covered their top, did not cover their stomachs, and left their backs completely exposed, including their undergarments, which is against our school dress code to begin with. I have students who are non-binary who were forced into a drape because that was their choice or they weren't in their yearbook. And they felt that they had to, because if they didn't, their peers wouldn't accept them. So there is definitely a peer pressure issue here as well. In addition, I have a student who is 7.5, almost 8 months pregnant, who was in a drape, who was not allowed to wear her bra for her picture because she couldn't pull it down far enough because the drapes covered barely their breasts and the bottoms of their shoulders. I just don't feel like this is appropriate, and that these pictures should be pulled from the yearbook, and that the students should be allowed to choose their outfits as long as they are appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Hannah Anderson. Hannah Anderson? Oh, okay. Haley Betterton.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Betterton, senior and ASB president at the high school. While it's important I share my opinions about this matter, it's also important I speak up for my student body. Both seniors who underwent this experience and those who could experience this in years to come if it doesn't get changed. While this idea started out good in the fact that it was supposed to set the class apart in a way that made everyone look classic and put together, it quickly turned into an event which was inappropriate, non-inclusive, and discriminatory. Non-inclusive in regards to religion, as some religions are not supposed to expose their skin, and you force them, if they wanted to be in their senior yearbook, to expose themselves in front of other people. It's non-inclusive to gender and sexual orientation, as it forces people to choose between the traditional males wear a tux and females wear this drape outfit, and it's excluding those who don't feel comfortable choosing between that, as they may identify as non-binary. It forces someone who identifies differently at school than at home to choose the correct outfit that represents what they're supposed to be without letting them express themselves in a way that feels right and comfortable. It doesn't allow students to express their personality, and it's offensive to the school's posted dress code, which states that sides, backs, and undergarments must be covered, as they had to completely expose themselves in front of their student body in the auditorium on a stage. There was also a changing tent at the beginning of the day in the hallway, whereas exiting from changing, you were visible to all people standing there waiting to get their picture taken, and they later moved it to the side of the stage where you could still see it. This tent was shorter than I am and had side windows almost at the top, so where if you wanted to not flash everyone, you had to crouch down in an uncomfortable position to put on a sheet that was held together by a piece of Velcro at the top. There was also no information posted about what to wear, what to expect to wear, or an example picture for students or staff. I found out today after asking that our senior class advisor did not even know what we were supposed to be wearing. This was also a rush process in which people weren't aware of the size options. Personally, I did not know that there was a smaller size, and I ended up wearing one far too big that fell down even farther, in which I had to uncomfortably sit and worry that this piece of Velcro that I had now shortened because I needed to make it as tight as possible would come undone, because over 100 people have already worn it through the day, and we all know Velcro wears out, and potentially expose me to even more, expose it to the entire student body right there. While expressing my concerns as well as my peers, well, it's also important that I give a suggestion to make a positive change. As you've seen in those yearbooks for the last 4 years, they have done a mid-thigh up picture, just basically uniform to what all the other grades wear, where you get to choose what you want to wear that you're comfortable in, that expresses your personality, and it still has a dark background picture, or green screen almost, that they want, just like this year's supposedly appropriate pictures will have. And like I said, it lets everyone express themselves in a way they see fit.
Thank you. Alaya Besmith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Bosme. I'm a senior class secretary for the class of 2023. A lot of us are here today to discuss the senior portraits that occurred on January 4th. I've heard a lot of different perspectives and experiences with these pictures being taken. From a student's perspective, a lot of us felt blind going into these pictures. I have heard from other girls about how they felt uncomfortable taking these pictures. None of us knew we were going to have our backs exposed to the rest of our student body. I reached out to several different students in our class, and this is what they had to say. From someone who has and is still experiencing identity issues, it seemed like I was forced into two different options, and neither of them seemed correct to me. I felt uncomfortable putting on the tux, and when I saw myself in it, it didn't feel right. With the school senior portraits, I only had two options, one being a tux and the other being what the girls were wearing. I wasn't given the option if I could try both and see which one made me feel better and more comfortable. As a senior, we should be free to wear what makes us feel the most comfortable and what makes us feel the most like ourselves. This is from a non-binary student. The next one, my experience from the senior portraits as a girl, I felt uncomfortable. There was no warning to wear any type of clothing to not be seen. As I was standing in line, every girl was wanting to back out of taking the pictures because they felt too uncomfortable, because as we were standing in the line, we could see every single girl sit on a stool with their whole back exposed for everyone to see. This is from a female student. And finally, I thought the idea of it was nice, the ability to have everyone have a good picture where we were all dressed well and coordinated for all under free circumstances. This was from a male student. Now, from an administrator's point of view, I understand these pictures were the best option to make all students feel included. The goals we viewed from this proposal were that we wanted to show everyone off while looking nice and making everyone look classic and feel good about themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexi,
That one first. Kennedy.
Kennedy Holden. Kennedy.
Okay, I'm Kennedy Holden. I'm a senior class officer, and I kind of wanted to share more of my personal experience that day. I was actually wearing this exact shirt that I'm wearing right now, and I was told that the neck of it would show, so I would have to take my shirt off to take the picture, or else I wasn't going to be in the picture. And so I decided to just take my shirt off and put the drape on over in the tent, and I had to have someone come in with me to help me because, again, we had to crouch down and just be uncomfortable the whole time. And I just feel like there was a way better way of going about this. There should have been more information put out there about what to wear and how to dress. And honestly, it was really inappropriate about the way it went about. And I think there was definitely a better way to deal with it. And I want to see a change. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexei Soptich?
Okay.
No?
Ryder.
Ryder Prather? Jessica Bruner? Eric Melander?
Hi. I don't really want to come up and speak in front of the board at the podium, especially with a faulty mic. Can everyone hear me? I would just prefer to talk right from here. Okay.
Yes, sir, there's people that are watching at home on YouTube.
Okay.
That's why we're doing the mic, so that can be broadcast.
You know, I understand.
Thank you.
My name is Eric Melander. I have 3 children who have graduated from West Valley. My daughter Erica is currently a senior. I would like to read this letter that I have emailed the West Valley High School Principal Ben McMurray. This letter will also be mailed to Peter Finch, West Valley School District Superintendent, and the West Valley District School Board. It hurts me to have to read this. Mr. McMurray, please read the following paragraph aloud and see if it seems as outrageous and irresponsible to you as it does to me. On December 4th, West Valley High School staff and administration, without prior parental notification or approval, forced senior class members to participate in a new unvetted procedure for taking senior portraits. Students were instructed to meet in the commons area to have their pictures taken by both male and female photographers. Students were forced to remove or adjust their clothing in front of other students to wear the same men's and women's tops required by the school. Students had no choice as to what they were told to wear, and in the case of the women's top, showed women's shoulders as well as their entire back, which ironically violated the district's own dress code. I have the following questions and comments I would like you and the West Valley School Board to consider and answer regarding the above. What was the reasoning behind this change in how senior portraits were taken this year? Why were parents and students not informed nor allowed input into this new process? Who was involved in developing these procedures? What was the vetting process, and who ultimately improved it? Students were forced to comply with these procedures by the threat of exclusion from their picture in the annual and by pressure to fit in with their peers. Why was this allowed to occur? Female students had in many cases had to alter bra straps and or remove their tops completely in front of other students or photographers. Was it understood this could easily be considered body shaming? For any student who may have or currently be experiencing some form of abuse, were the negative impacts of the above considered? Why were only the senior class forced to participate in this new procedure for taking pictures for the annual? Why would West Valley High School not allow students to submit their chosen senior pictures for the section of the annual traditionally reserved for each class, but then allow annual staff to sell ads or space for their own picture if they paid from $70 to $350? Why is West Valley High School administration supporting students buying their way into the annual, knowing it gives the impression of not following the West Valley School District goals of equality, equity, and inclusion? Here's what I think. The driving reason for the change in senior picture policy was to force the district schools of equity and inclusion upon its students. It resulted in a poorly conceived, planned, and executed attempt at virtue signaling, resulting in hurt to students, violating the trust of parents and students, and further undermining of support by the West Valley community.
Excuse me, your 3 minutes is up.
I'm going to keep going, thank you. Parents and students should have been notified and asked for input, given the radical change to what has been a time-honored and accepted procedure. Parents and students should have been provided information so they could review the new policy and then decide to implement or not. This was not done, and as a result, there were questions being raised by students, teachers, parents, community members, and even KIMA News as to the details of what has turned out to be a proverbial train wreck. The picture-taking part of this whole incident is disturbing and flawed for many reasons. Just the fact that those reviewing the plan somehow felt it was okay to go ahead with this is almost unbelievable. Did West Valley High School administration staff consider that because of personal, gender, ethnic, religious, moral code, body shaming, or other reasons, this was completely unreasonable, unethical, and insensitive proposal not worthy of further consideration? Did West Valley High School administration staff understand it completely irresponsible to force students, especially female, to meet in a common area, ask them to remove articles of clothing, so that in the process, all of their shoulders and back completely exposed, and in some cases, either by accident or by choice, even more? Did any West Valley High School administration staff review the plan prior, not see that there was the potential, if not likelihood, for the above to occur? Lastly, how could West Valley High School administration staff not see that there was the potential, if not likelihood, that some students would end up emotionally hurt in some way, and therefore find the proposal not worthy of further consideration? If the driving reason behind the reason for change in senior picture policy is to supposedly promote equity and inclusion, what is allowing parents to pay from $70 to $350 to include additional pictures of their students promote? I think most would say it promotes inequity and exclusion. If so, why is West Valley High School administration supporting students buying their way into the annual, knowing this completely subverts the purpose of changing the senior picture policy? The driving reason for the change in senior picture policy was to force the district schools to equity and inclusion upon its students. It resulted in a poorly conceived plan and executed attempt at virtue signaling, resulting in hurt to students, violating the trust of parents and students, and further undermining support by the West Valley community. West Valley High School administration staff involved showed a shocking failure in the level of foresight in not recognizing the problems that would be created as a result. Perhaps it was a sense of hubris or the knowledge that no matter how bad the outcome, they would not be held accountable for their actions. In 2019-2020, the same teacher responsible for this year's yearbook debacle attempted the same thing. Parents and students voiced strong opposition, common sense prevailed. Yet here we are, 2 years later, having to again tell a politically tone-deaf teacher and administration to stop this imprudent attempt at virtue signal. I'm almost done. There is a growing disconnect in the understanding by the West Valley School District Administration and West Valley School District School Board that the citizens of West Valley are the ones who elected them, who in part pay for nearly everything that is the West Valley School District, and who they are accountable to. The West Valley School Board needs to answer the questions put forward in this letter, ensure that the students are allowed to submit their chosen pictures, and take appropriate disciplinary action against those West Valley High School administration and staff involved for the damage they have incurred to students, parents, teachers, and the reputation of the West Valley School District. Should the school board not allow students to submit their own senior picture, legal action will be brought against the district. Trust builds acceptance and support for equity and inclusion. Virtue signaling acts that are insincere and duplicitous do not. The total mishandling of West Valley High School administration staff in trying to change the process of senior pictures into the annual has undermined this trust. It begs the question, what will be next? What will be the next ill-advised equity and inclusion measure? Is West Valley going to force players on the golf team to use all identical sets of clubs because only some students can afford custom clubs? Is West Valley going to make all band students buy the same model of saxophone because only some students can afford professional quality instruments? Is West Valley going to stop students from driving to school because some students' car is nicer than another's? Does this sound absurd? Yes. Does it sound much more absurd than what just happened? Not really. There will always be an equity and inclusion. West Valley School District. Focus on the best way to lift all students up and out of the valleys. Of inequity and exclusion. Teach them to excel in the classroom. Thank you.
Christina Chandler.
I said no, but
Okay.
I do feel as though I support everything, all the concerns, but I really do think that you need to pull those pictures and let everybody have their individual picture taken in what they're comfortable in. And I think it's appropriate because of those kids that it has hurt for whatever reason. I think you need to put out an official apology. Be the grown-up. Admit the wrong. And even though it doesn't fix anything, it shows that you can own up to it.
Thank you. Jackson May.
So my name is Jackson May. I'm a senior at West Valley High School. And first off, I'd like to say that never in a million years would I think I'd be at a school board meeting. So, I mean, that just shows how important this is to me and to all of our student body. So I would just like to say that I agree with everything that everyone has said so far. But I would also like to go at this at a different perspective as well. Our school has always talked about accepting everyone for who they are. But how are we supposed to show our own uniqueness when we're forced to conform into all of us wearing the same thing? Especially when we're a school without school uniforms. So why are seniors forced to wear something that we don't want to wear and something that not everyone else has to wear as well, including like the freshmen through junior classes? We wear our own clothes with our own style every single day of the year, but all of a sudden it's different when we take yearbook pictures. It's not fair to us seniors. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't let us express our personalities. Lastly, I'd like to say after Haley had said that our class officers had no idea what was going on, we were told before we took the pictures that our class officers had agreed and cooperated to making this decision. So not only were we forced to take these pictures that we didn't want to take, but we were also blatantly lied to. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Eliza Peterson.
My name is Eliza Peterson. I'm a senior at West Valley High School. So I had a major problem with the shawls that we were required to wear on these senior portraits. The shawl left my entire back exposed and my bra. This is completely inappropriate, and this is something I would never choose to wear personally, so I don't understand why I was required to wear it. And not only is it against my beliefs, but it's against my religion. The school forced me to wear less clothing than I ever have chosen to wear, and that's not something that should ever be accepted. I find it extremely offensive and to be bullying behavior. I was forced to wear these exposing clothes in a room full of strangers with cameras. This isn't a good situation to be in general, especially not in a high school where we encouraged to love each other and be kind to each other. The only thing that was holding up my shawl was a piece of Velcro. Had the lady that had put it on not done it correctly, the shawl easily would have fallen off and I would have been standing topless in an auditorium. A few years ago at the junior high, wearing a shirt like that, exposing my back, would have been immediately dress coded and I would have been asked to change. The same group that forbidden me to wear this type of shirt previously required me to wear it in a situation that I was completely uncomfortable in. I've always been encouraged by the school district to respect others and their beliefs, but the school did the exact opposite of that with these senior portraits. These school portraits disrespected me and my body, and all the other girls forced to wear these shawls. This is a form of bullying because that's what bullies do. They forced me to be in revealing clothing in a public place, which I was uncomfortable. I completely see this as an act of bullying, and we cannot expect to respect others and refrain from bullying in schools if the school is bullying us as a student body. This is not acceptable in the slightest. Thank you.
Thank you. Karina Holden.
Please forgive me beforehand. I'm not good at speaking in public, but as a parent, I am so mad and so upset. My daughter called me from school that morning asking if I would be okay with her not participating because she felt so uncomfortable about having to present like that. She was one of the first kids in the group and it was unorganized. She showed me last night. I wasn't aware that it was so extreme as it was, but her whole backside was showing and her sides. We all know there's many students that are more blessed than some others, and they had to go into the bathroom and try to deal with the situation. A couple of the girls left and went to the studio to get their picture done because they didn't feel comfortable exposing themselves to that extent. I really appreciate that we have a teacher here that stood up for our students, and I understand the concept behind possibly everybody doing the pictures the same. I didn't like it, but I was okay with that. But I'm very angry about my daughter having to be subjected like that. And I'm very angry that she had to call me when I'm at work during the day, being frustrated. And I'm angry that parents are here tonight, as emotional as I am right now about the situation. It should never, ever have come to this. And one of the things that I was told by this instructor was that she didn't want to have to go through and edit each picture. It's my understanding that's part of her job. And I'm sorry if she doesn't want to do that, but don't punish our students for that or our children. And I'm very proud of the girls that are here today and the parents that have come and expressed these emotions. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Peter, that's all I have. Thank you, all of you who spoke today. I did the backwards.
I don't know if they're on another paper, but as taxpayers.
Well, okay, come up now. What's your name?
My name is Julie Lecheminant. I am the high school PTSA co-president and a senior parent. In discussing the Senior Portrait Day experience as a PTSA organization and as parents of senior classmen, we have some serious concerns and complaints about the way it was done. Not inclusive of size, gender, religious, or cultural groups at all, but beyond that, it was even discriminatory towards individuals in those areas. For a school district that has been priding themselves in focusing on inclusion and diversity, this was the opposite. And senior students were told they would not be in the yearbook if they did not comply. Being forced to choose between a girl or boy dressing tent with a less than modest drape and with an open back or a tuxedo, formal and unindividual in style and expression. No matter who, what, or how you identify, nobody identifies as that. The outfits required of them to wear were not only against our current high school dress code, but also in some instances required them to remove their underclothing or compromise their comfort level and dignity. This should never, ever be asked of students. We feel strongly that critical information was not shared with students even, but most importantly, parents, as a simple postcard was sent in the mail of the mix of the holidays with a simple QR code for us to scan in order to get the information we needed. It was not enough information to know what situation our seniors would have been placed in or even what should have been worn that day. Now they are not being represented fairly in their own yearbooks in a way that is truly themselves, who they are, or how their senior year or high school experience looked like. They deserve that. We're requesting a truly diverse and inclusive yearbook portrait experience for our seniors and feel that the administration should provide a makeup day to respect the wishes of the students and the family of our senior class. This is a reasonable request that should be made by governing body, not just a yearbook staff. Tonight together, we can make these hardworking, amazing seniors who have been through a lot to get to this stage of their school career be recognized in a respectful way and portrayed appropriately in their yearbook. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I am a parent of a senior here in the high school. I'm also serving as co-president for the PTSA at the high school. And I just wanted to take a minute and recognize all of these seniors that have showed up tonight and expressed their feelings, and I'm very proud of them. Most of my comments were specifics that will be very repetitive to what you already heard. So I want to focus more of my comments on the lack of communication to parents. So to give you a little timeline of exactly what happened, on December 19th of 2022, email was sent out to all the parents of the senior class at 2:30 p.m. And that, make note of that, is after break has started. We got an email from the school saying that, you know, this is what's going to happen. We're reminding you that your senior will have their yearbook portrait taken on January 4th. Make sure they're there at between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. And that is it. That is the only information parents were given, period. The next step of the timeline, an event happened on January 3rd. A staff member at the high school sent an email to all of the Ram Strong teachers. Those are the Ram Strong teachers of just specifically seniors. That staff member sent an email, and in that email there was very basic information, and it said they will be changing into a drape or tux of their portrait in a private area. If they do not want to wear the tux or drape, their portrait will not be taken, and they may not appear in the yearbook. I have copies of both these emails I will give to the board this evening. There's also a very disappointing comment in this email. It says, I hope this answers most questions, but if you have a kid who is especially interested or belligerent, send them to me. I would be happy to talk with them. Well, the definition of belligerent is hostile or aggressive. And I personally, as a parent of a senior, am disappointed that a staff member sent this email to fellow staff members and encouraged them to send belligerent, aggressive, or hostile students to another staff member that was not in any form of administration or counseling. I believe that if a student is feeling these kind of emotions like that have been so eloquently expressed tonight should be absolutely directed to a counselor or a member of administration who has professionally been trained to handle those kind of situations. So I'm very disappointed in how this was happened. I'm disappointed in how the lack of information, critical information that was needed to give to parents and students, and the timing of that information was completely inappropriate. It gave those students less than 24 hours to decide whether or not they were going to participate in these portraits, and that is unacceptable. So I hope that the board can see this for what it is and make an appropriate decision to have some kind of picture retake day to allow these students to express themselves for who they truly are, the beautiful individual students that we are so proud of them for being. So that's it.
Anybody else? Name?
Alexander Garcia Widmer. I am the senior class president. I'm also a drum major of the marching band. I've been for the past 3 years. I'm a tennis team captain. I've gone to West Valley all 12 years, minus kindergarten. Got my Lemons jacket this morning. I'm really excited. I love West Valley, but what I want to put, everything that's been talked about, it comes down to a lack of common sense. It's a lack of common sense and lack of communication. What was worn is not acceptable by the school dress code, which, I mean, that already doesn't connect. If the teacher that organized this all didn't know, it's her job to know. And as soon as she finds out, it's her job to say these are not acceptable, or to push back the date to get something that is acceptable. And I feel like there should be more than one person in charge of this in charge of this decision. So I think administrators. So let's say they do know. Surely somebody sees that this is wrong, that this doesn't go with the school rules. It just doesn't make sense. There are too many lines that cross and never connect. And I feel like this is a problem that should be fixed for future classes and hopefully our own. Because at the very base, if you want to do something special, and you can't send your senior pictures, but you still want to be uniform, how about you tell everybody to bring their own black shirt? If they don't bring their own black shirt, they got to use the photographer one. I'm not saying that's what we should have done, but I'm saying that's one idea that goes with the rules, that gives students an opportunity to be unique and express themselves. And you can't make everybody happy, but they'll be happy enough to not be here. But that is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tasha Stapleton. I am the lead senior parent representing the senior class this year. And I'd like to, of course, thank the school board for hearing these thoughts tonight, but I really want to address my comments to the parents who are here standing up for your kids, showing that they have that support is huge. But I really want to thank all of these seniors who are here tonight. This takes courage. It also shows that you care about what goes on in your school, you care about your fellow classmates, and you have the courage to respect one another and to demand that respect be shown to you as well in your own place of school and among your peers. And that is awesome. I applaud you for that, for being here, for standing up for what you need. And please know that the parents are behind you. There's staff, there's other loved ones, your classmates. Like, we are behind you to make this year and your yearbook reflect the kind of awesome students that you are and the year that you deserve as your senior year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to be pretty quick. I just want to share my experience.
What's your name?
My name is Max Fleming. I'm a senior at West Valley High School. As a freshman, half our year was in COVID, and so we had our yearbooks mailed to us that summer. And I remember being so excited when I opened it. And I looked at all my friends' pictures, looked at my pictures, all of the sports, all of the activities, and I got to the seniors, and I was like, wow, that is so cool. They have unique photos. They're not like crazy uniform like what we're doing now, but they were thigh up, they were unique. And I was like, I want to be like that someday. I want to be a senior. I'm so excited to be a senior because it's not crazy, but I can show who I am. I can show off who I am, and I have something to show for it. I'll have a yearbook to show my senior picture forever. Emphasis on was excited. I got to school the day. I had no idea that this was happening with tuxes and shawls. I picked out a nice outfit I felt comfortable wearing. I was like, this is going to be tight. This is awesome. And they're like, hey, put on a tux or put on a shawl. And if you don't want to, then you can't take your picture. And I was like, this isn't fun. This isn't exciting. I'm going to have this yearbook. I'm going to have this picture for the rest of my life. I'm going to show my kids, my grandkids. And I don't want to tell them that I was uncomfortable with my picture. I don't want to tell them that my friends were uncomfortable with their pictures. I don't want to tell them that I have friends who went home crying because they were uncomfortable with what had happened. And so I think that a change needs to be made. And I unfortunately don't have any solutions off the top of my head, other than the fact that I think these need to be retaken. And I think that in future years, a lot more thought needs to be put into these things. And I agree with everything that's been said. And I just want to share that I'm passionate about this. I'm a high schooler. I play tennis. I have no interest in going to a school board meeting, but I'm here. And, it's crazy how this has happened. Again, I was excited and now I'm not anymore. We need to get this fixed. Thank you.
My name is Alexis Optic. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I kind of feel that it's needed to be said now. So I am the senior class vice president, and in a meeting that we had with this specific person, we were pretty much given the option of doing caps and gowns in a picture or wearing the drapes and tuxes. When we were given that option, we were told, if you don't do this, it's kind of going to look stupid, and we want our school to look this way because if our school doesn't look this way, well, it's just going to look dumb. That same person then left less than 5 minutes later and left us with a little piece of paper, and that's what we were told. We were told we needed to make that decision in the same day. I don't know how a group of 5 students are supposed to make the choice of 375 students in less than 10 minutes. That's not a realistic expectation for any student, and I don't think it should be an expectation for anybody here. If you feel that you can make a choice as one person for 400 students, please let me know because I don't feel that I'm capable of that. In the school, I was also going to bring up that West Valley High School completely stands for being inclusive to everyone. How is putting, once again, that large amount of students in the same outfit inclusive? Every day we wake up and pick out our outfits and something that we feel comfortable in. Obviously, something that I feel confident and happy in is not going to be the same thing that all of those other students are going to be wearing. So I don't know why it's expected when we look at a yearbook to look back at our memories that we just see everybody wearing a plain black drape or a person in a plain black tux with a gray background. That kind of makes our school look a lot less of what we tend to want it to look like. West Valley High School is supposed to represent being happy and motivated and encouraged and just a bright place. And when we look at those pictures, that is not what I see at all. I don't know, you guys may or may not agree, but coming from my point and most of the seniors that I have talked to, they would completely 100% agree with me. I don't understand why that group of 5 or 6 students was expected to make that decision so quickly. So I do feel that as a senior class in a whole, we deserve to be able to have those redone, or at the very least, make sure this never happens again because this is completely disrespectful. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Leah Stapleton, and I'm a regular student at West Valley High School. I'm a senior. I was not part of this decision making. I was completely blinded by this decision. I'd heard rumors that we would not be taking thigh-high pictures. We would be forced to put on a uniform of some kind. And thankfully, my mom, Tasha Stapleton, is a senior parent, and she had gotten more information and had looked into it. And so I was telling my friends at school, and I was like, did you see what we're having to wear for senior pictures? And I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. And I was like, this is kind of, and the pictures were off the shoulder. And for me and my religion, that is not, it's basically against my religion. I did not feel comfortable wearing that, and I thought it was going to be off the shoulder. When I got there, I saw that they were these backwards cape-looking things. And so they said, you can put them above your shoulders. And they said, you can leave your shirt on if you can hide your shirt. In order to hide my shirt, I would have to pull it all the way up to my neck, and I almost looked like a witch. I did not want to look like that in my yearbook. It was a very uncomfortable experience, as people have shared, but I would like to share that these pictures, I do not want them printed in the yearbook. I will not be paying the amount of money it costs to buy that yearbook if that picture is printed, and I will encourage my friends to not buy those yearbooks. If this uncomfortable experiences will be in my yearbook that I will want to look back on. I think as a regular student that not knowing these decisions and figuring them out the day before, I didn't know that I needed to wear a tank top underneath or something to cover myself up. I felt very uncomfortable, felt violated. I was asked to walk around the stage to get to my station. I had a male photographer who I had to position my seat, and I awkwardly would waddle over trying to hide my back to the people in the room. I was right next to a station where they were taking the male photos, so they could easily see my back exposed. And I don't think this is right in our school, and I think something needs to be changed. Either retakes that has been proposed before, or never letting it happen again, or some kind of compensation for what's happened, because that is not okay, and I will not buy a yearbook that has that picture in it. Thank you.
Thank you. That looks like it. Thank you all, everyone who spoke. I know it's tough to come up here and speak in front of a group. Each of you did a very good job, and thank you for coming up. Peter?
I'll just let everyone know, I'll be following up with Mr. McMurray in the morning. So we definitely have heard your concerns, and I'll be following up. Thank you.
Okay, we moved to number 8, approval of minutes from our December meeting. Anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll move that we approve the minutes from the December 20th meeting.
Mr. Meyer, make the motion to approve the meetings for December. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Part B, approval of travel requests. We have 3 travel requests there. Anyone like to make a motion on those?
I move we approve the travel request.
Okay, Mark Moko made the request to approve travel requests. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Items arising. Anyone have items arising? Superintendent's report.
I provided that in writing.
All right, thank you. Board reports, board development. Seeing none, I'll move to adjourn.
All right. For the record, it's 8:33.
8:33, we're adjourned. Thank you.